Hi, thanks for joining me today. Back in the garage finally to work on the 1974 TY250A. Got a rebuilt Magneto Assembly with new points and condenser to install. We'll see if we get spark, and then we'll throw the head back on, toss a little bit of gas down it, and see if we can get it to pop off. After that, I'm going to go through the carb before we put it on. So I've pulled out my ultrasonic cleaner from Harbor Freight. It seems to do a really good job on these little carbs. So let's get started. So on the Magneto Assembly, not only did I have to replace the points and condenser, but I had to run new wire from the condenser all the way out through the harness, because one of those wires was sitting out here and got rubbed bare on the flywheel. So I replaced that, and then I made a new lubricator wick out of an old wiper pad from Lulzbot 3D printer. So having all those Lulzbot parts around definitely come in handy. Nice piece of felt there. That'll soak up oil nicely and keep it lubricated for the heel of the points there. So let's go ahead and get this guy installed. Now that I have it in here, I'm thinking that lubricator wick is going to be too large, and I think I need to move it back some. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, lubricating the points, there's points lube, you can use grease, some, I would use 3-in-1 oil if I had any, but I'm just going to go with the lightest oil that I have here in the garage, which seems to wick into this felt really well. That's air tool oil. Might not be the right stuff, but better than nothing. And it's what I got on hand. Alright, and because of where the openings are in the flywheel, I want to be able to open those points as I'm putting the flywheel on. So what I did was I faced the key to the left here, and that should put this largest opening right near the points. So here goes nothing. And the reason for that is I don't want to damage the heel on the points, or the follower as they say. I also have the points in their maximum open position to help mitigate some of that rubbing of installing the flywheel. How's that look? Okay, sweet. So because I had the points locked in the all the way open position before I put the flywheel on, I didn't have to worry about holding the points open while I push the flywheel on, and I still have a good gap between that heel of the points follower and the cam on the inside of the flywheel. So now I need to get this nut tightened, and we should be able to go ahead and set the timing. I did check to make sure that that lubricator wick is contacting the cam on the inside, so we're good to go. I'm just gonna have to apologize here because I found it impossible to film setting those points, you know, me being able to see what I'm doing, have drivers in there and feeler gauges and whatnot, but I think I've got it set right. And the way I'm checking this is with the light bulb method, where you're one side up to ground, the other side up to the points, and then you go to that timing mark up there on the dial indicator and see if the light dims right where you want it to when the points begin to open. I think it's close enough. It's really hard to get this exact, but the gap is correct at top dead center, and the light dims. Like if I stick it right around that spot and wiggle it, the light dims and gets brighter. So I think hopefully it'll be close enough. So I think I'm going to go ahead and throw the head back on it and throw a little bit of gas in it and see what happens. So these old two-strokes use copper head gaskets, which can be easily reused by annealing them. And I'm doing that on the stove inside the house. Just stick it on the small burner, turn it up to high until it turns red, shut it off, and go have a smoke. So before I put the head back on, I figured we'd see if we have any spark. So let me see if I can get you close enough. So I hooked up the Magneto harness. Let's see if we can see this on camera. Might not work out, but worth a shot, right? Hard to hold that and turn it over at the same time. Here, let's try this. Oh yeah, you can see that on camera. And you can see that it happens hopefully you can see that well enough on camera, but it seems to be sparking right as the piston comes to the top, which is what you want. So I think it's gonna run. All right, and after a quick brush with some Scotch-Brite, the annealed gasket is ready to go back on. I brushed up the top and bottom faces too, just a little bit, just to clean them up. Alright, should be able to reach those without an extension. Sweet. Right now they're just finger tight. Manual specifies 175 inch-pounds, that's what I've got it set to. We're just going to go with a crisscross pattern starting at the front. me find my premix and pop a little bit down that spark plug hole. And just a little bit. Oh, that's probably too much. That seems tight enough for now. What? Let's see what happens. Well, it definitely pops off, doesn't it? I think that's gonna run. That was too cool. Let's do it again. All right, pop off number 2. Man, it just pops right off, doesn't it? Well, there you have it. It will run. So now it's time to get onto the carburetor. Clean that up a little bit, and then put the exhaust and fuel tank and everything back on it and see what she does. All right, so this is our carburetor. I don't know how bad it's going to be, so let me just pull this bowl off, see what it looks like. Actually, it looks pretty clean. I've never taken one of these apart before. That float setup's kind of interesting. You just move up and down on these pins and push on that lever. So that's pretty neat. Just pull those up on out of there. Gonna remove that cap so I can get to the bottom of that bowl. There's a little bit of sediment there. Just right in the bottom of that cap. You know, this really isn't that dirty. And the owner was running premix in it, with the oil pump being long gone, I imagine. You know what, I'm feeling a little risky today, so let me just put this back together, put it on the bike, and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? I have to pull the whole thing apart again? It wasn't that difficult to remove, so why not, right? Alright, the carburetor's back on. I put the exhaust back on, and I filled the float bowl with premix. So let's see what it does now. Oh man. Okay. Boots. Time to put on boots. Okay, take 2 or 4. And now it's out of gas. Hell yeah. That's running pretty good. That's friggin' sweet. Well, now there's nothing to do. Left to do would throw the side cover back on it, clean out the fuel tank, put it back on, put the seat back on, go for a drive. Alright, and there it is, all back together, just like the way it got here, except for now it runs. So if you remember, this bike is not mine. It belongs to my father-in-law, which is why there's no rush on the project, because his property was very near the Cameron Peak fire and he didn't want it up there anyhow. So it kind of got put on the back burner, and well, now it's running, but he's not wanting to fund a full restoration project on it. He just wanted it running. So now that everything's back together, let's go do something stupid. Alright, so I took it out on the road a little bit, which is a little stupid because it's not geared for the road at all, and it does not have the right tires on it for the road. But I rode it around a little bit. It goes through all the gears just fine, accelerates just fine, idles great. The mirrors are completely useless because they just rattle around the whole time the bike's running. Those are probably just on there to make it road legal or whatever. But I'm going to charge up my GoPro tonight, and tomorrow I'll put it on my head and we'll take this thing out to a field somewhere and have a little fun. Yeah, that didn't happen. Remember this moment? Oh man. Well, turns out I broke the little bone in my big toe. So I've been in pain all week, and they put me in a little boot with the toe taped to the buddy taped to the toe next to it to keep it from bending. So I had to limp around like that all week at work. I was out Monday, Tuesday, so I ended up having to work 3 12s and then a 5 this morning. So at some point I'll be able to get out there on that TY250A and find somewhere to screw around in the dirt, hopefully. But until then, this is it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.